You ever had that crazy cotton picking uncle? He's sitting there at a Christmas party, and all of a sudden he starts telling a joke. These three guys walk into a bar. I happen to know the other two guys that were walking into that bar. My name's Stu Turley, president and CEO of the Sandstone Group. I got me some cool cats here today.
Where?
We're all looking around. Hey, I got David Blackman. David Blackman is a legend in my mind.
Yeah.
It's incredible. This guy is a Forbes contributing author. He's on the Telegram. He's on the Daily Caller. He's on the Energy Transition. He is on the Energy Question, which is going through the roof. How are you, man?
Oh, just lovely. Happy to be here at the Flying Saucer in downtown Fort Worth
Isn't that fun?
with all of our adoring fans here in attendance and a lot of live music playing. Talking about the end of COP22.
I just took a.
As Steve is messing around. I don't know what he's doing, man.
Yeah. Okay. I just turned it
All
around.
right.
Podcast listeners. We are in a bar.
Yes, we are. Turn it over to RT.
And we have RT. RT, you're actually the human on this crew. And this is RT. He's one of them big dogs over there at Pecos operating. He has the Crude Truth. Not only does he talk about the Crude Truth, he is crude. All you have to do is go search on his website, Crude Truth. And he comes up #1 in Google. That tells you you're an animal. Welcome.
Thank you, Sue, as always. And yes, we are live here today once again back at the Flying Saucer. It's great to be back with you guys. It's been a few weeks since we did an episode actually live, from location here at the bar.
Yep.
So again, shout out to the Flying Saucer. Thank you guys very much for the opportunity. And so don't forget to tip your waitresses.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot. Hey, I'll tell you, COP28 has been driving me hilariously nuts. And I didn't think that they were going to have any kind of deal. And finally, everybody was standing up there going, we got a deal to get rid of fossil fuels, but it's not really that way.
No.
And I've been hearing this side over here going that. And David, what did they come up with?
Not much. They came up with some vague language about what is it? Transitioning away from fossil fuels.
Right.
That was a language they landed on instead of saying we're going to phase out fossil fuels, which was the language that John Kerry and Al Gore and all the activists wanted. I'm not really all that sure what the difference is, other than transition away was obviously seen as more open to interpretation by the countries that didn't want to agree to any deal at all. And so that's where they ended up. And, whatever. I mean, it just makes this like pretty much every other conference of the past. The only two out of the 28 that have, that anyone remembers are the COP3 conference that took place in Kyoto in 1999, and of course the Paris conference at which the Paris Accord was struck in 2015. Those are the only two anybody ever talks about. And 2 years from now, nobody will be talking about this conference either.
Well, I got a call from the staff at Dubai, and they were wanting to know about what to do with Kerry because he tried to flush himself down the toilet because they didn't have it. So they'd never seen one that big before. Now, RT, that was pretty funny. That was just.
I don't even know what it means, and it was funny.
So when you sit back and you go, wait a minute, we're gonna, we say this all the time. Ronald Stein is a hoot. I love Ronald.
He is a hoot.
And he always calls me up when we do a podcast and he goes, hey, they don't make phones out of windmills. I love you, Ronald, if you're watching. It is true.
Well, they don't. That's true.
It's so true. And, I had a great opportunity to talk to David this morning about that big deal that came across last night there, that they're going to transition away from fossil fuels. And it's nothing more than just like David said, it was nothing more than just a way for them to feel good about themselves when they all left COP28 this year.
Yeah.
I think the nuclear stuff that happened last week at COP28 was very big. I'm definitely pro-nuclear as far as
me
power
too.
goes. But as far as the whole point of COP28 is to be with climate change and to do things positive for
Yes.
the earth. So they ended it, quote unquote, on what they felt was a big bang by saying, we're gonna transition out of oil and gas. Well, great. We've been trying to do that, what, David, for 30 years, and I
At
think you
least,
said it
yeah.
earlier. We've already spent trillions of dollars trying to do that.
And the president put in a very good note, the president of the UN, put in a very good note, and he said, when fiscally responsible. I thought
See,
that
and
was great.
that's just part of what's going to happen in every country. They're gonna say, well, we'll transition away as soon as we can afford to do that, maybe in the 23rd century or, I mean, Uganda's transition away is going to be different than Peru's transition away, and America's is going to be different from England's, and China isn't even going to worry about it. And so it's just, it's meaningless. It's just hot wind and word salads.
Yeah, word salad,
Word salad. Kamala Harris might as well have written that agreement.
right? Oh, wasn't she there?
She was there. Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
maybe
she
that
was there?
explains it. Yeah.
And then at midnight, you interviewed Grace Tank. I thought that was fantastic.
Oh, that was a while back. That was last week. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
And
mean,
then
it's been a week.
I got another one for you guys. I interviewed Paula Glover. She's at the head of the Energy to Save Alliance. She's the CEO. And what a new concept. I was sitting there trying to think, wait a minute. I never even thought of this. Why not save energy? And that way you don't have to produce it. They go out and they work with regulations. They work with everybody to try to save energy. That way it helps to keep the load off the grid. Classy lady. I mean, she is me. You're going to love visiting with her.
You know what? It just occurred to me. It took me a minute to absorb it, but he just was complaining about it having been a week since he talked to Miss America.
Right.
I'd admit this guy, I don't even know what to do. How am I in the same room with this guy?
I don't know. You're a legend in my mind. He's a legend in his own.
This is the most interesting man in energy right here.
That is a lie.
Wait a minute. That could be a new graphic that we have. I'm the most interesting man in the world. Right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, man.
Okay.
I don't always talk to Miss America, but when I don't, I complain about it.
For the staff, I want a new advertisement for RT.
No,
I'm the most interesting podcast host in
no, that's
so.
I won't.
Tell you what, tell you what.
I think there's some other people that could take that title, but I'm not going to give them any time on our podcast. This is our podcast to promote us. So
I'm the kid with the pork chop.
Yes.
I am so ugly. I gotta have the pork chop around my neck just to have the dog play with me. So, it's like I pay you guys to be here. So,
when you talk about that, isn't there some for our listeners out there and our viewers that don't know, we're going to be at NAPE.
yes.
And I think there's another group that's going to be out there at NAPE, and I think they're even paying people to come be on their show. So
Really?
like that. But
We don't pay anybody to
we're
be
not
on
gonna
our
pay
show.
anybody,
Uh,
but we are going to have a booth, and we are inviting anybody that wants to be on the Crude Truth or the energy transition, the energy question, or more importantly, the daily energy news beat, which will be coming live from NAPE.
Right.
Please, reach out. We'd love to talk to you.
Yeah.
But no, what a week it's been. Yes, I had the opportunity last week to interview Miss Grace. Thank you again. And I tell you what, with people like her moving into the future with, I guess, Gen X or Gen Z.
Gen
right?
Z.
Gen Z.
Gen Z.
We're headed in a great place, y'all. I mean, oil and gas isn't going away for 100 years. So me and my son, we don't got to worry about it. Okay. But man, if you can't sit here and see that energy and nuclear is not the true future, then you're living under a rock.
Yeah, we have to have a lot more nuclear. And by the way, you're speaking of Gen Z, I had a conversation just yesterday with a young man who's a graduate student at Boston College University, heading up a research group there on the energy transition. This is one of the smartest people I've ever talked to about energy. He's got his mind's exactly in the right place. He understands what all the real issues are, what all the real problems are, and he's working on real solutions and not all this pie in the sky nonsense. And it was, I won't say his name because it might embarrass him, but it was really refreshing to know that that kind of research is happening at our universities, and these young people are getting, I mean, obviously this young man has had a tremendous education in what's happening in this transition. And so that just really bodes well for the future and, for my grandkids' generation.
I'm excited, as I continue, as a lot of people know, I'm going back to school right now, and it's just really
First
exciting.
or second grade?
Repeating second grade.
Repeat.
No.
Jethro Bodine.
Remedial. Yes.
Y'all joke. I remember when I graduated from high school and I went to college, they made me take an entrance exam. I didn't take math my entire senior year in high school because it wasn't required in college. No,
I failed that test.
But they asked me to take a test in math, and I'm like, I haven't taken math in a year. Next thing you know, I spent a whole first semester in college taking a remedial math class. I didn't take math class all year long. I mean, but anyway, no, I'm back in college right now, and there are so many people out there that truly have common sense.
Yeah.
I just feel like they're really overpowered and overshadowed by those that are more than importantly just yelling. And that squeaky wheel, squeaky wheel always gets, and unfortunately that looks bad on colleges across the world, the nation.
Right.
But no, get back to what David's saying. There are great people out there that are really caring and looking forward to the future in a way that we can provide clean, sustainable energy along with natural gas and nuclear.
Let me ask this, because there were 22 nuclear countries that signed on to that deal. I read something, not only did the EIA put out those rules at 3 a.m. so that Kittery would have some thing, that was it went just and launched what we thought, the Clean Air Act, and it was legislation through regulation. It was horrible. But on the nuclear thing, I saw a article put out by Secretary Granholm, and I still say that if he ever married Fetterman, their kid would be Fetterman. So now, that being said, that there was all this money being
it's not going to catch. It's kind of like a bench. It's not going to go anywhere.
Okay. Again, I don't even know what that means, but it made me laugh. So it's
okay. But we're sitting here, and I saw something from Granholm, and Granholm said that they're going to put all of their money into fission.
Yes.
Yeah, which is a complete waste of money. But anyway, fusion.
Fission is where everything is right now, and you can do it. You've interviewed somebody with molten sand,
molten salt, reactor down at Abilene Christian University. 4 different universities working on this research project that is going to have this nuclear reactor on the campus of Abilene Christian University. Incredibly safer than any other technology out there. And they're going to be generating 500 megawatts of electricity within the next 3 years.
And it's the size of a refrigerator, correct?
It's the size of a refrigerator.
And how much power would it be able to give?
500 megawatts, which is about half as much as the average coal-fired power plant generates. Typical coal plants, 1 gigawatt, natural gas plant, big natural gas plant is 1 gigawatt.
It's the molten salt. I know it's big.
It's I don't even understand it, to be honest with you. I talked to him and I don't understand. But there's the molten salt technology, the thorium technology. There's several other different technologies that are being developed.
Yeah.
And it's all so advanced, so safe, and there's no radiation created. And it's just it's just the answer to everything, because you can create these reactors instead of having to put them 400 miles away out in the countryside of the Permian Basin and build 400 miles worth of transition lines to get it over here to Fort Worth. You can just put it right here in downtown Fort Worth.
$3.5 billion would pay for a lot of reactors.
Yeah. And the problem with wind and solar that no one wants to talk about or think about is you have to build trillions of dollars worth of new transmission lines to move the electricity from where the big farms are out in the countryside into these market centers in the big cities. And, nobody has the money to do that. The money is not there for all of that. And even if you do that, the battery technology is not there to reliably back it all up and store the energy for use when the weather's not ideal and the sun's not shining. So nuclear is the obvious answer. And the fact that the environmentalist community continues to demonize the nuclear energy and refuses to admit that is just the clearest example you could have that this transition, all this subsidy for wind and solar and electric vehicles is about a huge transfer of wealth and not really about the environment.
Yeah, because if they really wanted, if the government really cared, they would be investing those billions into nuclear
Right.
and into natural gas, and they're not doing that.
And they're not doing it.
You know,
I will say there is a place for wind and solar. And it's not just at the bottom of the sea because the whales have a right to live.
yes,
But there is a place where if you
Sure.
can't get things to there, I'm all about it. If the technology and it's sustainable without money, I'm all in.
oh, well, yeah, no, plus not to mention, you know, here in Fort Worth, the Eagle Mountain Lake Regatta is a great sailboating thing that goes on every year. So we need wind to watch the good sailboat races for sure. I mean, so no, I get it. I get it. The wind is so important to power. No, it is. I get it.
Again, I don't even know what that means, but it made me laugh.
I understood.
Actually, I know what it means. Yeah.
China just released their new cargo carrier. I mean, they announced their land keel for it, and that is a nuclear powered cargo ship that is longer than this Empire State Building. That's a lot of Costco goods coming across, man.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, Batman, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then the number of LNG carriers coming out is great for saving maritime waste and everything. The dual fuel LNG is a huge market right now.
Yeah, and that's going to continue to expand because the new generation of diesel, the low sulfur, low carbon diesel that they've been trying to put into these ships is much more expensive, and it's really raised a lot of costs for all kinds of consumer goods, you know, because the fuel's more expensive.
No, you figure this, I wish we would have thought of it here in America, but that nuclear powered cargo ship, is it going to be a game changer? You know, the whole reason why the Navy uses nuclear is because they're going to hold more stuff. You know,
Well, and you can stay out to sea indefinitely,
and yes,
right? I mean, all of our submarines, all of our aircraft carriers,
Yeah.
and I don't know about the smaller classes of ships. I think they're still mostly diesel, but you know, there's no reason not to use nuclear technology and for maritime purposes. And again, it's the reason that it has been the industry's been stymied goes all the way back to 3 Mile Island and the inability to overcome the false messaging in the news media about radiation and all that.
And yeah, I believe it was an extension for 100 years. I believe it was either 80.
Diablo Canyon over in California.
They got signed it. I'll have to fact check how many years, but it's either 80 or 100. That's nuts.
well, you know, here's a question.
I'm happy, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, okay. You guys, along with my father, and y'all are both younger than my father, and I will say that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, all of y'all remember having to do nuclear drills growing
Yeah,
up,
I
correct?
do.
Okay.
Vaguely, yeah.
Okay.
We had to do them when I was in first grade. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, of course, what good was it really gonna do?
Well, it wasn't going to do any
Yeah, it
good,
wasn't
but
gonna do any good.
made everybody feel better.
Yes,
My dad sat on the alert facility for 20 years.
I believe it.
And he had to sit there with a nuke under his airplane and wonder whether or not he was going to take off. And he had targets that he was going to bomb. He
Wow.
was in a B-58 Hustler, the fastest bomber ever built. They've never built one that's any faster. And it was horrible growing up in that environment. So I
Yeah.
can tell you, I grew up
You
around
grew up
that.
in it. Well, okay. Do you think nuclear is gonna take what I would call a Moses transition? Because a lot of people remember the death and destruction that nuclear
I
had.
didn't
Hold
get
on.
that joke.
I-
Any of our
No,
podcast
no, no.
listeners out there,
No.
if you know what a Moses transition is, please write in.
What I mean is when Moses saw the promised land, he couldn't go across. And that entire generation
he
had
wandered
to.
around.
Oh, right.
Entire-
yeah.
Well, not necessarily the wandering around, but Jacob took all the next generation on. So I'm wondering, as Grace Stanky and them continue, that they're gonna not think about all the things that you guys had to deal with how dangerous nuclear is. And that
He's
maybe
saying we're
over
as old as
time-
Moses. Isn't that
So-
what we're getting to here?
I'm stuck on the raft
Yeah.
when his mom put him in the river. As soon as he said that. And then I even went to a sidetrack when he was putting all the animals on there too. Oh, that's Noah.
Noah.
Yeah.
That was Noah.
All I'm trying to say is this, you think as time goes on, it'll get more friendly for nuclear because people won't remember all the negatives.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, as soon as all,
Okay.
everybody
Yes,
my age and older dies, then nuclear is gonna be a deal.
Yeah.
Because nobody will remember 3 Mile Island
Okay.
and the China syndrome.
No, that's
Okay.
it.
So let's talk about 3 Mile Island for a second.
Yes.
What's
It-
all three of us?
So, but this is like the most unbelievable historical coincidence in energy history is the fact that the China Syndrome movie starring Jane Fonda and Chris Christopherson came out the week before 3 Mile Island happened. It flopped at the box office. Nobody went and saw this movie. It really wasn't that good a movie. 3 Mile Island happened and the China Syndrome became the biggest grossing movie in 1979 and was in the theaters for a full year, right? And that event in 1979, that's 44 years ago, is still killing and hampering the expansion of the nuclear power industry in the United States today.
Yeah.
And it's all because of a damn movie.
I want your opinions on this because the House just voted to sanction not to ban Russian uranium. That's 20% of our uranium into our nuclear fleet. I mean, we just shot ourselves in the Bahamas.
Why does Russia own 20% of our uranium, by the way?
Yeah,
Because Hillary Clinton gave it to
Uh,
him, sold it to him.
he's right here. He's right here. Go ahead.
Anyway, Arkansas coming my way.
Well, all the Whitewater files were in the Oklahoma City office of the Oklahoma City bombing. So I just kind of find that.
I don't know
I don't
anything
know
about
either.
that.
So if you're gonna go ahead and throw us all under a bus, we might as well just back up and go off that Whitewater crap.
I was 8 when that one happened.
Yeah, you were just thinking about Tonka toys. And
Just so everybody knows, I did not commit suicide by shooting myself in the back of the head with a shotgun.
There you go.
But you did, as long as you don't go hunting with Cheney, you're okay.
I never go hunting with anyone named Cheney.
No, that'll get you shot.
And those are facts of life from 3 podcasts.
Okay, where were we on?
I have no idea where we are.
Squirrel.
Squirrel.
There is one. Oh, no, that's a scarf. The lady's got a fur scarf. I thought that was a squirrel. Okay, the one thing that I do, we just signed a ban on the uranium.
Yeah.
We need to find out if Pelosi is investing in uranium. Because if the Pelosi's invested in it, I need to go.
You need to go buy it. Yeah,
We need to
you're
go
probably
buy some
late.
uranium. We do not offer stock tips, by the way, but if Pelosi's listening here, would you please call the show and let us know?
Stu's got us off rails.
1-800-CALL-STU.
And all I've had today is root beer.
I think what it is, guys, is we all just have showed you this, and again, we haven't done a show in person in
Yeah,
weeks, so,
well, at least we talked about COP 28, you know.
We talked
Yeah.
about 28, we talked about nuclear.
Yeah,
I will say this.
Vision, Federgram, and Moses. No,
Moses, well, we had Moses talk, so
Talked about those.
Yeah.
But also, I will say this, that with Chevron looking to invest, was it $14 billion in the Permian next year, or $12 billion?
yeah, 12, I think.
12 billion
Yeah.
in the Permian next year. Chevron,
12.5, and I'll raise you.
okay?
Okay.
Oil and gas isn't going anywhere, folks.
No.
Okay, they just bought Hess, and they're still gonna have 12 billion to deploy next year. Oil and gas isn't going anywhere, and they wouldn't be investing in oil and gas if they didn't think they were gonna make money.
So when they bought Hess, do you reckon they thought they'd be doing business with Maduro instead of Guyana?
You know what? What about that? What about that? That's a great point that we do need to bring up. The fact that, Venezuela, Pertinier has crosshairs on Guyana right now,
Well, they're
ready to.
They do.
they're threatening anyway.
Yes. And,
Pertinier. Are you learning that at school? Pertinier? What's a pertinier?
Pertinier,
What part of the,
fixing to.
what part of the wellhead is a pertinier?
Maybe it's time to wrap up there.
What are your last thoughts? Give us your last thoughts.
Maduro won't invade because the U.S. isn't going to let him.
Good. All right. What are your last thoughts?
Really?
Yeah, no.
With the sanctions.
Monroe Doctrine, baby.
Okay. All right. You heard it first by David Blackman.
Yeah.
Too much Russia and China involvement in Venezuela, and that's really the motivating factor.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
But I will say this also, speaking of, y'all show the energy transition the last couple of weeks has been great. I know I said it last week. Irina, again, please come back soon.
I talked to her this morning, by the way.
Well, good. If for listeners out there that don't watch it or listen it's almost every Monday morning.
Almost. Pertinier.
It's almost every Monday morning at 8 a.m. So
We're fixing to do it again next Monday too. Yes.
Yes. And I'm only, for all those listeners out there, I am only warming that seat. That is Irina's seat. All right. With that, this was the three podcasters. We got David Blackman, RT Trevino, and I'm Stu Turley. Yell, scream, and hug your family. We'll see you next time.